The new king is a U.S. The new king.
You cannot talk. One more word, and I will feed you to my children. I'm kidding, we are vegetarians.
Hello and welcome back to A Stark Contrast, where we discuss the differences and similarities from Marvel Comics to their MCU counterparts. And we are your hosts, Geoffrey.
And Di.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, yo.
Di, hello.
Jeff, hello.
Hi.
Hi. It always throws me off if you start first with the greetings.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh, right. You're doing that now. I love that.
Yes.
It's a surprise each and every time.
Yes.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing well. We just cracked open this awesome bottle of Scotch whiskey.
Yes.
The Last of Us branded by Digital Spirits.
Yes.
I quite like it.
Very good.
It's very good.
Smooth.
Very smooth. For those of you who like Scotch and or whiskey, whatever, I don't know the difference, but we're enjoying them in our tiny Pym test kitchen mugs.
Yes.
That are basically shot glasses. And so we will be smoothly sipping
Yeah.
throughout the duration of this.
So if I get
episode.
a little loopy by the end of this episode, you know who to blame.
Yes. Tis my fault. Tis Digital Spirits' fault. Tis The Last of Us' fault. Which is debuting in January.
Yes.
FYI.
I am excited for that.
Yes, very excited. Can't wait to talk about it.
Are you jet lagged? You just came back from the motherland.
The motherland, the Philippines. A little bit.
Nice.
I'm a little better today.
Uh-huh.
I am sleeping through the night, which is unheard of because I don't do that.
Really?
I usually toss and turn. I don't soundly sleep at all. And so since I've gotten back because of the time flip and the jet lag, my brain is like, it just shuts down, completely shuts down.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good. So I figure by tomorrow or the weekend or when this episode drops, I'll probably be on course again, hopefully, which is kind of crazy because when I came back, I beelines and I went to go get a cold brew at Disney.
Sounds about right. Nice.
And I was like, And so I tried to stay up as much as I could because I came home on Halloween, and then I was like, I gotta stay away for the trick-or-treaters. I gotta stay awake. And then I got exactly 0 trick-or-treaters.
Really?
I got none.
That's so sad.
I have so much candy.
Well, now the candy's gonna go to me.
I guess so. Please take it. Yeah. Didn't get any. Did you do anything fun for Halloween?
Yeah, I did something with my girlfriend's niece and
Hello
her
Kitty.
family. Huh?
You were Hello Kitty.
Okay. I was forced onto my
It was forced upon you.
Yeah, literally, she was just like, just let me draw on you. And I was like, no. And she was like, just let me do it. It's fine. And so I was like, okay.
Did she pitch you that it was going to be
No. She just started drawing on me.
Oh.
She was like, I'm just drawing this from my memory. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
That's fun. And yeah, I looked in the mirror and I was a Hello
meow.
Kitty. And I was like, what the... Like an all white face and then my dark skin complexion. It looks so jarring.
You're like the ring girl.
It was like scary.
Yeah.
But then we took
cute.
her niece trick or treating.
Oh, nice.
And
what was her niece?
I'm sorry.
What was her niece?
Pikachu.
Oh, I like that.
She has a Pikachu hoodie. So.
Oh, cute.
Not to go too long on a tangent, but trick or treating is just not the same anymore, man.
No.
It's just not like.
I don't know.
No one, there's not that many group. I feel like usually I'm so used to like when I was even trick or treating, back when I was younger, like it was that the block was full of just kids, families walking,
houses decorated,
and now house of decorations, and now it's just the light is just on, and you go up there and they give out, and it's like wow,
if even that, right?
Like I don't know, like what happened.
I think I'm consistently the only spot in this whole cul-de-sac that does it. like ever.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And that's probably why we don't get anybody, because none of these houses do. And so it's like that whole thing where people drive to another neighborhood
Yes.
because there are neighborhoods that go all out.
Yes.
And you gotta travel, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, it's not like it used to be.
Yeah, it's not the same anymore. It's sad.
I know. Like, I mean, last year I got two kids, and I had a whole group of candy, but they were Black Panther and Iron Man, and I was like, take it all.
Wow.
Just gave,
they deserve it.
I know. I gave half one and then half to the other.
Deserve it.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, it's 0 this year, so I was kind of bummed. But yeah, I don't know. But that's why events like Oogie Boogie Bash exist and Halloween Horror Nights, because you can go out, you can do your thing.
Yeah.
You can still get some candy depending on where you go. So yeah, and I did all of that before I left. So not all was lost.
Yeah.
And I still believe in the Nightmare Before Christmas. So it's still sort of Halloween for me until January 1st.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm going long with this. This is great. Yeah. Anything else before we get into the stuff?
Nothing much. Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. It's been a while since I've actually shared some listener news, but I was checking our stats and a new country popped up. I thought we had them before, and apparently not. But we have new listeners in Sweden.
Whoa.
So hey, thanks guys. I didn't look up and
The greeting in
to
Swedish?
botch. Yeah,
I forget it. I don't know either.
Do you know
actually.
it?
No.
No.
I thought I did,
Yeah.
but then I'm not gonna even attempt to.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks to all our new listeners in Sweden. It's Halla.
Oh.
Halla.
Halla.
Halla. So yes, hello to you. Thanks for tuning in. I wanted to give a special shout out to listener Super Fanboy Guy, who so graciously left us a review on Apple Podcasts with 5 stars, mind you.
Oh.
And I needed to read this to you because I'm not sure that I actually read it to you, but maybe I
No, I don't think
know.
so.
But Super Fanboy Guy says, what an amazing show. Jeffrey and I are awesome hosts. I have been a fan of these characters since I was a kid, and I learned something new about them on each episode. Keep up the good work. 4 exclamation marks.
4?
4! So,
I love that.
thanks.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
Thank you. It's super sweet.
It means a lot.
Yeah, it really does. Thank you so much. And again, like rating and reviewing goes a long way. So if you can, complete that trifecta and subscribe on top of it all. And now I guess we can just talk about the Marvel news. Yahya Abdul Mateen II has been cast as Simon Williams' Wonder Man
I saw that.
for the Disney Plus series. That's like big news, right? And so that, in conjunction with potential for Vision Quest coming out.
Yes,
I'm
saw
like,
that also.
and and we've talked about Vision a little bit and a little bit of Wonder Man because of the Vision episode as well as the Scarlet Witch episode.
Yes.
I wonder if anything's gonna brew in any of
Connects.
that.
And you just never know.
Curious, right? And like if they appear, if nothing else, who's gonna appear in that series? And what characters could pop up? What new characters are gonna pop up?
I have no idea of Wonder Man except for the brief times we talked about him on the couple episodes. But so I'm excited to see could that come to out of fruition.
Yeah.
Come to fruition.
Yeah. Ion. He uses ionized energy, I believe, and super strong. We'll see.
Yeah.
That'll be very cool. And of course, Yahya himself comes from many things. Candyman, Aquaman 1 and 2.
He's also in Ambulance, right?
Ambulance.
With Jake Gyllenhaal,
Yeah,
the Michael Bay movie.
Yeah,
he's
pretty-
super good.
Yeah, he's great. So that's exciting. In semi-related but not related news, Jeffrey just told me before the show, Aubrey Plaza has been cast in a currently unknown role for Agatha Harkness' Coven of Chaos. That's exciting.
Oh yeah, I
because
love her.
she's so great. Did you watch much of Legion at all?
Much of
Legion?
No.
Yeah, because it's an X-Men based. It was like the X-Men based FX show,
Okay.
and so Legion.
Oh, okay. I remember that. I
Yeah.
never watched it, but yes.
He's in the comics. He's the son of Professor Xavier, and so
Oh.
and an unknown mother mostly. And he has these extraordinary telepathic abilities, like unheard of, like Phoenix level proportions.
Oh, okay.
Without needing to be imbued by some space alien. But Aubrey Plaza was also on that show, and she played a character that was called the Shadow King, or presumed to be the Shadow King, who is essentially like the Freddy Krueger of the X-Men world. Can come into your dreams, can make things happen, nightmares, also a lot of chaos energy-esque type stuff. And so possessions and stuff. And so it's kind of interesting that she's now going to jump into a role in Agatha. I doubt it's related in any way.
Yeah.
Like that's a huge stretch.
Yeah.
Huge stretch. But I'm very curious to see who and what she'll be playing. She could be a natural human. Who knows? But she's fun as a supernatural witch. So I'm kind of hoping.
Well, we will see.
Yeah. I'm super stoked. More news about all these Disney Plus series that are gonna come out in the next year or two are officially surfacing. So
yes,
it's go time.
We're getting to the end of the year. Next year is gonna be another packed year.
Yeah. Of
Marvel stuff.
Yep. And then of course, before all of that, Rihanna is back with a new single for Black Panther, our red carpet goddess, and Black Panther comes out next week. Yeah. So that's like we're gonna make our descent into 2023, but before the new year, we're gonna get this Black Panther goodness, and then we're
phase 5, because Black Panther is the end of phase 4.
In phase, and then so the Guardians Christmas holiday special
in November, right?
Technically, it's the end.
Comes on November 22nd,
Thanksgiving
or something. Yeah.
So that's technically the beginning of phase 5.
Yeah, it's
That's
like a
wild.
small little
sliver of it.
leeway into
Can't wait. But yeah, so speaking of Black Panther, we have a character related to the Black Panther universe for today. And before that, just a reminder, we are not experts. We do not claim to be. We're just a couple of nerds nerding out, sipping some Scotch whiskey.
Yes. That's exactly what we're doing.
Yes. Just FYI, I gave Geoffrey more than I had for myself.
A lot.
So that says a lot. So as we cheer, let us discuss the one and only M'Baku. M'Baku. He has many, many names, and we'll get to know them soon enough. But M'Baku himself, created by Roy Thomas and John Buscema, first appeared in the Avengers number 62.
Oh.
Very long ago, cover dated March 1969.
Wow.
So he's been around.
A long time ago.
Yeah. He's been around for a while. M'Baku is full-fledged honesty, I did not know much about him whatsoever before the film.
Yes.
Did not know him at all. I like looking back on it and preparing for this episode, I have visually seen him, but the correlation, the connection never resonated with me. So this was kind of fun to kind of go back and read these classic issues and see how the character has kind of evolved in the last few decades. But before all that, if you're looking to own his first appearance, on Shortboxed, you can get a CGC 9.0 for a cool $899.
Whoa.
Yeah, not too bad.
That's not bad.
Nope. While on eBay, you can grab a CGC 9.4 for $1,600. So almost twice as much for a 0.4 difference. Do with that with what you will. But the lowest, still not so bad. A CGC 5.5 for $260.
Nice.
eBay, a 4.5 for $144.95. It's not bad at all. So if you love this character, if you love this character, if you love Black Panther, if you love key issues, this is a great one to get for that price. And of course, if you want a Lucy, you can get them as low as $30 a pop. No big deal. You just walk on in and say, I want Avengers number 62, and you can get one. So yeah, tell us about your first exposure to this character.
I mean, I think like much of like the under or the secondary characters.
Yeah.
And most of these, I think, probably the movie itself.
The movie, yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you remember the very first impression that you had instantaneously after meeting this character on screen?
Well, I mean, yeah, because his introduction in the MCU was the part of the Jabari tribe, and they were kind of like excommunicated out of like the initial 4 or 5 tribes in Wakanda.
Yeah.
And they kind of like did their own thing. And he challenged T'Challa for the throne of Black Panther. And he ultimately got his butt whooped.
Yes, he did.
And that's why
Very
I was
classically.
like, well,
yeah,
you got what you asked for.
yeah. I mean, the character is pompous in the very least. He's got a lot to him. But yeah, it's interesting how he very much trailblazed from that movie, right? We were already familiar with Winston Duke on a sort of surface level, like he was emerging with Us, and like people were chit-chatting about him. He had some other films in the can, and you know, but like I feel like for many, M'Baku was like, why? You know what I mean? Like people really got into him as an actor because of how well he portrayed this character and how likable he made this character. But of course, before all that, we have to dive down his comic book roots, which are a little bit different. He's not nearly as beloved as his film counterpart, but we'll get into that shortly. So unfortunately, I don't have any trading cards of this kid. I don't have any.
Okay.
And I just checked my digital app. I don't believe I have any on there either. So I have no like short-winded paragraph for you. But that leaves more room to actually talk about the character. Yeah. So we can just jump right into it. So in the comics, M'Baku is known as the chieftain of the Jabari clan.
Yes.
And so when I was rewatching just the M'Baku clips from Black Panther, I was like, okay, I got to get the inflections correct, because I always want to say Jabari. I don't know where I'm getting that from, but they say Jabari.
Oh.
Jabari clan.
That makes
It's gonna happen anyway. But
yeah.
The Jabari clan. So in his first appearance, which I have pulled up the cover for you here. So imagine what you remember M'Baku looking like in the film. Tell me how similar that is.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's like what he was in when the queen like meets up with them when they need his help.
Yeah.
Because Killmonger was going crazy. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. He's got the so like in the film, he's upon his throne and he's wearing the tribal garb, but notably he has the fur of a presumed white gorilla or ape on his back.
Yeah.
It's not as prominent, I think, as it is on the comics, clearly, because like in the comics, he's quite literally wearing like the skin of an ape.
Yeah,
he's like in a suit.
He's wearing it like a hoodie or something. Yeah,
exactly. And so in his first appearance, you know, T'Challa he's taken some time off with the Avengers and his new crew, so to speak. His new cohorts included Vision, Hawkeye, and the Black Knight. So it's that era of Avengers once again, where the classic characters have kind of, you know, branched off into their other realms and other places that they're protecting and whatnot, and really bringing characters like Black Panther to the forefront. But you know, upon returning to Wakanda, the ship is attacked by M'Baku's instructions. And so it's revealed that M'Baku, you know, despite knowing T'Challa since they were children, he's just using the king of Wakanda for his own purpose. You know, he's doing the whole false, like, oh yes, my king. But in the thought bubbles, he's like, I can't wait to overthrow him. And he's like, basically he wants to just throttle everything that T'Challa has put into play. And so, yeah, he's just using T'Challa's trust, you know, for his own villainous means. And he wants to rule Wakanda. And so the thing about M'Baku, which you know, it's so funny because I've seen Black Panther, like at least 10 times. At least 10 times.
Yeah.
And it didn't resonate with me nearly as much as it did going back and reading the source material. That M'Baku and his tribe are not only like ostracized in a way away from the rest of modern technology Wakanda, but they don't embrace the technology part. Like he even says it in the film, and I was like, wow, I didn't really even think about it.
Interesting.
Yeah. And he says on one part, he says something like, he's like, oh, you know, where you've abandoned the traditions of tribes.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's very much how the comic book version resonates. He wants to revert things back to the way, quote unquote, they used to be.
Okay.
He's very much a traditionalist. He doesn't like the technology. He doesn't like all of these so-called westernized practices. And so he just wants to revert Wakanda to a primal state, to a very, animalistic sort of wild way. And so he has this this hype man who at first glance, he looks like he's just he's kind of like in the background. M'Baku is, drawn quite large. So you never quite realize that this guy, his name is Ngamo. He is a dwarf.
Oh.
So he's got a dwarf hype man. It's like that always says yes, and yes, it's a good idea. And so here's a screenshot. Ngamo is right here.
Yeah.
And so even here, right, you see like the mass that is M'Baku and how he is with other men, but then you see Ngamo and he's like on the side. He looks normal in this picture, but in other pictures, like he's a dwarf. He's a legitimate dwarf.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah, and so he plots with Ngamo to drug the Avengers while they're visiting, and then they take them hostage essentially. And so he then fights T'Challa. He appears in the forbidden guise of the white gorilla, which is what is shown on the cover, as well as in the issue itself. And so here's a panel for you. And so yeah, T'Challa, upon seeing it for the first time, it's heralded as this very almost taboo like thing,
Yeah.
Because in a nutshell, all the tribes of Wakanda pray to Bast, the panther god, right?
Yes.
The Jabari are the only ones who pray to a different animal god, which is the white gorilla.
Oh, okay.
And so, it startles T'Challa. He's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And he's like, "No, you're the one that said it's bad, but we choose we choose this path for ourselves." And so it's implied within this issue as well as the subsequent issues that M'Baku's power and strength, how like with the Golden Tribe and their other tribes, they take the plant, right? The thing,
the heart,
the
shape.
heart,
yeah,
and then they, what do you call it?
Kind of like mash it up.
They mash it in that thing, and then they drink the essence of the flower. It's implied that M'Baku's power and strength is derived from the flesh and the blood of that white gorilla. So he very much hunted this wild animal, ate its flesh and heart and all that good stuff, and then wore its skin as his uniform. And so it's a counterpart of the Panthers and the Bast followers and their herb. And then, it's in this very panel that he reveals his name. He is no longer just M'Baku, but he is the man ape. So in the books, he was introduced as the man ape. It's changed over time. It is, there was some discussion that this concept of an African-American man as an ape, not politically correct whatsoever. There are some things that I wanted to show you. Yeah, there's some panels in there that I'm just like, whoa, how did they get away with this? Because a lot of it is very touchy, but thankfully they've upgraded the character to a more reasonable name. They even use it in the film and they call him the Great Gorilla. So it's not as like, I don't know, abrasive or just demeaning, as man ape might come off. And very much like the film, M'Baku seeks to prove that T'Challa is not nearly as powerful as the people of Wakanda perceive, prince or not. Also suggesting his time with those of other lands has softened him. So he just, he criticizes what he's learned from the Avengers and the Westerners, as you would say. And he challenges him to a fight not unlike the one that we see on the screen.
Oh, really? Very,
very similar in many ways. The locality and the location of it and the scene itself is a bit different. It's like in the how in the end of Black Panther where he's fighting Killmonger, and it's like on the tracks and stuff. It's a lot like that.
Oh,
and so it's on the technology trenches that that T'Challa and Shuri have created, and it's a similar situation. They're fighting, they're duking it out. T'Challa's losing for a bit. It comes to the very last second, and M'Baku is like hanging by a thread, and T'Challa does the good thing and he saves him.
Wow.
And then the thing is that M'Baku's like, and he like runs off and he's like, I'll get you another day. He's like, not even nice.
I'm embarrassed. I gotta go.
Exactly. I'm embarrassed. I'm gonna kill you another time. So it's not nearly as ritualistic or even as graceful as it is in the film. Like I turned that thing on and that was like legitimately the first scene, because that's the first scene that we see M'Baku arrive in the MCU, who of course portrayed by Winston Duke. That's the very first scene that we're introduced to that character. And I immediately started crying. I had to sit there and I was like, was I secretly in love with Chadwick Boseman like all this time? And I adore him, and I adore that movie. Like truly is top 3 for me.
I enjoyed it a lot too. Even
It's
when I
so
first
good.
watched it, I was like, this is
it's incredible. And I think also I just never expected to love it as much as I do, right?
Yeah.
I just thought, okay, cool. This is amazing. Great representation. It looks like a great film. But then actually really like revisiting it and watching it is totally flawless. And so it's really sad that we don't get Chadwick in another film. But yeah, so speaking of the film, M'Baku, first seen in Black Panther, directed by Ryan Coogler, music by Ludwig Göransson. He is a goat.
he's so good, man. One of my favorites.
Yeah, he's fantastic. If you're not familiar with Ludwig, he's like very
he's like doing anything and everything. Now.
Mandalorian.
I think he was mentored under Hans Zimmer.
That explains so much.
Yeah.
And he's so young.
Yes.
Which is also it's incredible because, many of these famous composers are not only male, but they tend to skew a lot older, just even historically. But Ludwig is like, I don't know, 30s maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
It's so crazy. And he's so talented. So truly, so talented. Love what he's done with this film. And I can't wait to hear what he's created for Wakanda Forever. But yeah, we last saw M'Baku in Avengers Endgame. And we will see him in Wakanda Forever, speaking of. And we touched a little bit on this character in episode 8, which is our Black Panther episode. Can you imagine?
That's crazy.
We covered T'Challa episode 8.
That's crazy.
And we're on 41 covering M'Baku.
It's so insane.
That's wild. And so simply said, in the film, he is the leader of the Jabari tribe within the nation of Wakanda, regarded as the great gorilla. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Love him. Thought he was great.
He's great. Winston Duke is great. And then after seeing him in interviews and stuff, you just kind of you fall for the actor and because and then they play the character so well and you create that much more of an attachment to that character.
It also feels like one of those instances where it was almost not intended to go much further than perhaps this first movie and maybe some cameos in the second movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But because he was so well received and because he played him so well, they were like, we gotta expand it. And I don't know who else has been like that. There are many people in the MCU that have had that kind of effect with their characters.
Yeah.
I can't think of it right off the bat. I'm blaming the whiskey.
I get it though.
Right?
No,
but you know what I mean? Like he's so good. He's such a great actor and he brings a presence as that character so well and so believable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw in the trailers, he was very prominent. And so he's great. I think he's going to kill it in this new one. Do
you think he has a bigger role?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there is one scene in the trailer where he goes and tries to attack Namor. And so it's like, okay, something's going to happen. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he's going to die, but I mean, I feel like he's going to play a pretty pivotal role. That's not Lupita Nyong'o, the Dora Milaje.
Yeah.
So.
Oof. So good. Love him. Can't wait for more. So it kind of jumped into powers because, it's not like other characters, right? He's just very straight to the point.
He's a warrior.
Powers include the following. Thanks to the magical ritual of transference with the sacred white gorilla, he's got superhuman strength, stamina, agility, and durability, capable of lifting 10 tons.
What the hell?
Where does that put him? I didn't write this down. I'm just asking you off the cuff.
Well, Cap can only lift
one,
a ton.
Right? Yeah. Or was Spidey? He was...
No. Oh, yeah, Cap was only a ton.
Okay.
Miss Marvel was like
75.
it was a lot. 75. Yeah,
she was a lot.
And well, who was the other one?
Spidey, I think, was 10.
10.
10.
And then what was the other one that does
Hulk.
like 40? Hulk?
I think it was Hulk. Was it Hulk? It might have been Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's 10.
That's
He can hold 10 cars.
and he doesn't even have like
And he doesn't have
a
actual
serum or something.
No, it's just because he consumed that white gorilla.
Oh, that
In the book.
That, yeah,
In the
yes,
book.
yes.
But it's still believable.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You know. Yeah, because again, we've only been introduced to M'Baku in the films like in so many ways, right?
Yes.
We don't know anything about him just yet.
Yeah.
At least as far as the white gorilla stuff goes. So
We'll see how it is. Yeah, once
Yeah.
Wakanda Forever comes out.
yeah, and so like while in the MCU, it doesn't appear that he has power transmission, the same as the books. The film M'Baku is a master combatant. He has club mastery, expert tactician, multilingualism. So I thought this was interesting because it's not something that I necessarily thought of, right? When you think about the languages and the nuances of the people of Africa, M'Baku is special in that he doesn't only speak Kosa, which is
Yes.
what
The
T'Challa,
dialect.
the
Yeah,
dialect
yeah.
that the tribes usually speak.
Yeah.
But his first language, dialect, if you will, is Igbo, which is a real language prominently used by Nigerians.
Okay.
And so it's a little different than the default of Kosa, which is used by the Nguni people of Zimbabwe.
Okay.
And then he speaks English on top of that.
Oh.
So he's familiar with all the tribal dialects
Yeah.
as well as English. He's just smoking us. So give it up to M'Baku, multilingualist extraordinaire. And yeah, from there, I just kind of wanted to talk about aesthetic a bit. And so like I've mentioned, he's got the literal fur and the skin of this white gorilla that was once forbidden by the followers of Bast. So there's kind of this taboo on the worship of the gorilla when it comes to the tribes, and Bast is the overarching semblance of God, if you will. And so in the comics, it's very simple. He's wearing, like you said, a white gorilla hoodie.
Yeah, basically.
With like a magneto pouch belt and a red skirt of sorts, kilt maybe, with white fur boots. And so, sometimes they even draw him in green, it's almost like a green variation. Here it is here. It's a different colorist too. It's much later.
Oh, wow.
So it resonates quite differently, right?
Yeah. Oh, with that. Yeah.
Yeah, you see red and purple, it's one thing, and then the green, it's another. But yeah, and for color meanings, it's interesting that they chose these particular colors because with the white, you could basically go anywhere. But so white in negative sense, which I found more, I guess, fitting for M'Baku, it renders unfriendliness, emptiness, and coldness, which is interesting because in the films, the Jabari tribe do reside in the mountains away from everybody else. They reside in snow and ice and whatnot. And then, when it comes to the bottom portion of his outfit, red equates sacrifice, danger, and courage. That tracks. Purple represents royalty, power, and ambition. That also tracks. Whereas the variation of the green, that's inspired by life, renewal, and energy. So I kind of feel like M'Baku is more of the red and purple nature, but this is also a dated version of him. So while on the film side, shout out to Black Panther movie costume designer Ruth E. Carter, who handled the work on both of the films. Yeah, in the MCU, he's aesthetically super duper different from his comic book counterpart. But yet again, it's like a more modernized, more realistic, more authentic representation of what African tribes could look like in that environment. Mm-hmm. And so, like you pointed out, the fur on his back, far less literal, far more tribal. And it looks like many seen in historical anthropology. I mean, I kind of love his outfit. I think that's what kind of makes him stand out too. Because, again, we're introduced to all these tribes and they very clearly have these differences in terms of color and the way that they're accented with the accessories and all that good stuff. And there's something about the Jabari in particular that I think is really cool.
Yeah, like they're very, like when they were like kind of like outcasted, and then they come in to that first fight and everything. It's like you can tell like they're just built different.
Yeah,
as
that's
the
a great
kids
thing.
would say.
They're built different.
Yeah,
absolute units. So from there, we'll go ahead and talk about notable adversaries.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't want to get too deep into this because, you know, like he's one of those rogues gallery people, villains who just really focus on the one hero.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
Yeah, especially even in the film. Like even in the films, like I feel like you almost can't even designate him as like a villain per se.
It's like he challenged the throne.
Yeah.
He lost, and then he was like, "All right, screw it. I'm not talking to you.
fine.
I'm not talking to you guys anymore."
Exactly. And so like on the comic book side of things, while M'Baku generally goes after anyone affiliated with T'Challa, he once met his fate at the hands of a character named Morlun. I'm not sure how people say it. I say Morlun. And he's known as the Totem Devourer.
Nice.
Did I ever tell you about Morlun?
I don't think so. No.
I probably mentioned a tiny bit. But Morlun emerged during the pages of To the Edge of the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
He was the one that was like basically killing all the Spider-Men for their spider totems. So he would like, he was like a vampire. Yeah.
Okay.
He would devour the spider totem essence spirit thing that most of the Peter Parkers and whatnots were imbued with during their time as Spider-Man. And so he went toe-to-toe with M'Baku once, killed him, and then he absorbed the white gorilla totem.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, aside that, it's really just about T'Challa, especially in the comics, because he's very, it's a fairly recurring thing. Like if T'Challa is in the picture,
M'Baku is right there
somewhere. He's somewhere coming after him, especially during his tenure with the Avengers, and so they all got looped in by proxy. So it's like, well, he's going after T'Challa. Well, I guess he's going after all of us, and so that's why. Characters like Vision and Black Knight and, Scarlet Witch and whatnot, they all get kind of looped into this chaos against this man-ape. And so, like I said, he's a practitioner of traditional values of the Wakandan tribes.
Yes.
And so he's against the advancements of the technology of what could be perceived as embracing Westernization.
Yes.
And this immediately puts the royal family in his crosshairs. But it's so much more severe in the books because he straight out wants to kill them. He wants to kill them.
How dare you guys advance with the world?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, you have to practice the tradition of these tribes. And so not only does he dislike the worship of Bast, but he's also against, modernization, against technology, against all these advancements, despite knowing what vibranium could do for
How dare
the
you
world.
use the most versatile metal on Earth?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas in the film, he's against T'Challa, portrayed by the late and great Chadwick Boseman. And again, he appears during the coronation of Prince T'Challa as he's trying to advance the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so, and then we don't see, after that scene, first we're introduced to that awesome white gorilla mask.
Yes.
Which is quite terrifying.
Daunting.
It's very daunting.
Sure.
Yeah. And then the procession that they even make coming in and the hoo-wah.
It's very distinctly different from like when T'Challa was introduced. It's like, you can tell this tribe was excommunicated because they're just so much more aggressive. Not in that's why they were excommunicated, but like their stature, like the way their attitude is you can tell it's totally different than the other tribes that stayed in
the base of Wakanda.
Wakanda,
I guess,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, and it's interesting, right? It's an interesting thought that, okay, so they've come all the way down from the mountain to the riverfront, right? And then so it's a big deal because it's implied that they haven't seen them for years,
yes,
right? And so not only that, but like they have the specific flavor to them. And so while we are introduced to all of these other tribes, which we're going to talk about in just a few minutes, I wanted to identify each and every tribe and kind of riff off on them for a bit. But you kind of get the sense that because they're away from these other people, they had to fend for themselves. They had to figure out all the stuff by themselves because they don't have merchants. They don't have the river people hunting. They don't have the border tribe to, herd cattle for them. They had to do all that themselves. And so that kind of builds that sort of resentment in their spirit and how they get along with those other tribes, which I think is a very interesting thing. You don't really think about it until you're like,
you really dig deep into it.
You really give it some thought and be like, yeah. So imagine that in the film, because again, they don't say specifically how many years, but imagine that they hadn't seen one another for at least a decade, maybe 2 decades.
Yeah.
Maybe the last time they saw each other, they were all children.
Yeah.
And so it makes that first impression of them coming through the tunnel, like it's just pitch black darkness.
Interrupting this ceremony.
With the echo and then like the way that they are painted white to represent the gorilla is so like, it's so dope. Like in rewatching it, I was like, man, they were.
It was really. I was like, ooh,
yeah,
because I was like, oh, and Baku's a big boy compared to T'Challa. I was like, dang,
what, 6'7"? How tall is he?
I was like, I know, like superhero movies, the hero obviously doesn't really like lose or die.
Yeah.
But then you're like, is he gonna lose here in the first 20 minutes of this movie?
Winston Duke, by the way, is 6'5".
I'm jealous,
dude. He's a literal foot and 3 inches taller than I am. 2 inches taller than I am.
He is. I'm 5'10", so yeah, he is.
He's half a foot taller than you.
Crazy.
You say half a foot, it sounds so much larger than it might be, but that's crazy.
Yeah,
he's a big boy, but love him.
No, he's great. And then like you said, we don't run into him.
Yeah.
Until
T'Challa,
the third act of the movie, when T'Challa is quote unquote beaten and he loses out that honorary battle to Killmonger.
Right.
And they're kind of, and the Queen and
Shuri.
I keep forgetting like their character
Say
names.
her name.
I know. So Shuri and the Queen, like they kind of were like excommunicated, and they have to resort to going to M'Baku and be like, "Can you help us?" And he's like taking it all in. He's like, "The Queen of Wakanda, coming to me, for help," and it was just like,
even the way he says her, like the way he carries his voice, even it's like pompous as it is amusing, as it is like legitimately strong. He has the presence, right? And then the next time we see him after that very crucial scene where he refuses to help at all, he helps in the battle. The Jabari helped reinforce. Against Killmonger and the Terran tribesmen, which I thought was also very. I mean, that was so cool because you're really like wondering like
what's gonna happen here?
They're gonna get messed up.
Like Killmonger's like insane, dude.
He's
I was
chaotic.
like, dang, Michael B. Jordan is like,
he was so
killing
good.
this.
So good. Yeah, that's the
I was
crazy
like,
thing.
damn, he might lose.
He
man.
might actually lose. Yeah, right. And little did we know that Thanos would really, really bring that sentiment home. But Killmonger was like, and also he kind of paved the way for the Thanos effect. Like he wasn't wrong.
Yes.
He's
one of the few villains where I'm like,
he's right.
Can you blame the guy?
Exactly. You can't really hate him for it, But that's the last time that we saw M'Baku, and even then, like again, he's not necessarily a villain, right? He's fighting the good fight with the good characters and just trying to be better for their people, which I love about him. And so, other than that, I guess his adversary would be easily said to be Killmonger and any future MCU threats that we do not yet know about aside Namor. But one thing is clear, the Jabari take a more civilized supporting role in the MCU compared to their comic book counterparts. So that's Huge stark contrast, right? That's a stark contrast right there. Because even, toward these modern books, M'Baku is still very much, quote unquote, a bad guy. And so I wanted to show you very quickly, there was a title called Villains for Hire, which was kind of a playoff of Heroes for Hire, which is Defenders, right?
Got it. Okay.
And so in Villains for Hire, it was the Purple Man versus Misty Knight, and they both had their own teams of quote unquote villains, right? And so M'Baku was on a team with Crossfire, Nightshade, Speed Demon, Monster, and my favorite, Stiltman.
Still.
So imagine, if you will, Jeff's soul has left his body.
Did we bring it? Did we bring this up in She-Hulk?
Yes.
Didn't? Yeah.
Stiltman.
And you were so
so close.
I texted.
So close.
For you guys who didn't listen to the She-Hulk episode, there was like real quick. There was I think an article with one of the writers, or producers of She-Hulk, and they said, "Oh yeah, we were super close to bringing in Stiltman." And
God.
Di, if you guys have listened to the episodes, Di has been standing for Stiltman ever since the first episode of She-Hulk.
But like also in our show, I've been waiting for Stiltman since like
She's
episode
like, I just
2.
want to see Stiltman.
I just want to see Stiltman.
Just want to see Stiltman. Like we got the Frogman. We got
we got Frogman. We got Leapfrog.
Sorry.
Leapfrog.
Yeah.
We got Porcupine.
Yeah.
Elaguar.
Yeah. And then I sent Di that tweet with the article, and she was just like, then I was just like, they almost had your mans.
Almost. God, it's so stupid.
Almost. And then I made a joke that whatever storylines Di wants, Marvel's always like, oh yeah, that's a good one, but no.
Yeah. So I'm like, I have to reverse effect it, right? I have to be like, I don't want Stiltman. I don't want Winter Widow. That's silly.
She couldn't get her Natasha's
My
Winter
Natasha
Soldier.
and Bucky. Ugh.
She couldn't get that.
No.
She still can kind of half get it.
Yeah,
but it's not the same as Natasha.
Classic.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay.
And now she couldn't get Stiltman.
I might get Stiltman though. There's hope for me yet. So yeah, can you imagine M'Baku on a team with all these Z-rated villains
That's
and then
hilarious.
Stiltman on top of it?
I love Z-rated heroes.
Yeah, led by Misty Knight. And are you familiar with Misty Knight at all?
I think you've mentioned it a couple, maybe in passing.
Yeah, she's the woman with the bionic arm in Luke Cage.
Got it.
Yeah,
yes.
that's Misty Knight.
Yes.
She's dope. I love her. And so yeah, they went up against Purple Man's crew, who his villains were more sea level, which is kind of like messed up, because they're also really sad and funny. But his team consisted of Avalanche, Deathstalker, Headhunter, Scourge, the Shocker, Bushmaster, Bombshell, and Tiger Shark. So aside even Shocker, he's still a B-rated, C-rated, D-rated character, but they were all, these opposing teams were going head to head against each other. And so, I'm curious to see if he's gonna flip the script in any way. Is he gonna stay course? And of course, this leads into the fact that they have lost their leading man, right? So what effect has that really made on the Black Panther franchise? And I even saw like an article today or a post today. I think it was, I don't know if it was Ryan Coogler or a producer, but that they said that initially Black Panther was supposed to tackle the issues left after Endgame, right? And that T'Challa had...
Namor, the producer.
Oh, it was
producer,
Namor.
yes,
Okay.
he said that.
I was like, Namor?
Oh.
Oh, Namor.
But yeah, he said, I'm sorry. I think it was Coogler too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they've been doing stuff. But yeah, Coogler said that this sequel was supposed to be exploring T'Challa's like grief and loss while he was snapped. And,
because again, and I think they said that's in the post, like 5 years for a king just gone. Like, what does the land turn into? What does it? And I know you haven't seen Sandman, right? But there's a similar scenario in Sandman. Like he's held captive for 25 years or something, and he was the king of his kingdom, so to speak. And when he came back, it was in shambles, and all of, like his primary, immediates all fled, or they went rogue. And so I could see that similar situation happening with Wakanda. And maybe that would have been the turning point for somebody like M'Baku, and then get that throne like he wanted to, like I wonder how different it could have been.
Yeah, and I still think Namor gets introduced like while all that turmoil is going on, and then boom, like Namor comes in and tries to take over while they're in like despair. And then now
interesting. That's
when T'Challa has another like character growth moment of like, right, okay, like I need to, but yeah.
Wow. Oof.
Super.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Sad.
Because and we've followed this for the last 2 years, even in the wake of Chadwick's passing, that the immediate, people were worried. They're like, oh, this movie's gonna, I don't know. Because they were rewriting, they were stopping, they were continuing filming, stopping filming again. I know, yeah. People were leaving.
All those leaks were coming out, yeah. Yeah,
exactly. And Daniel Kaluuya is even not returning because the scheduling conflicts.
Yes.
So yeah, it's gonna be wild to see how that impacts everything. But hopefully he will still, M'Baku himself will still be on the right of the good guys, so to speak. And now we'll go ahead and swerve on over to family, friends, and affiliations. So in the books, he doesn't have much of family. They've peppered in a few cousins here and there, but no talk of like parents or a broader family, children, whatever. He's very again, he's got a specific role in the books. He's just a villain. And so they don't really expand on him too much, which is almost a shame. Mm-hmm. But in the comics, he does have a brother named Mandla. And he took the mantle of Manape during M'Baku's death. And I believe this is the Morland death. So the essence the totem was eaten and he couldn't have his powers and all that. But he came back. But his brother, unfortunately, was not as lucky. He arrived one issue and literally the next issue he was dead. He was killed off.
Pain.
Yeah. And so as a result, there is no MCU counterpart, I think, because they're just, I don't know, maybe they just don't feel the need to create one. But there is a character in the MCU that has the same first name that is also Mandla. It's a character named Mandla Gaduka, who appeared in Age of Ultron, portrayed by Johannesburg Onlooker. So pretty sure they don't have anything in common. Looking at a picture of the character, he's pretty civilized, pretty westernized. Doesn't look like he came from Wakanda whatsoever, but
got it.
You never know. And then another character that I wanted to mention was Queen Divine Justice, aka Shantae Brown, who is his cousin, M'Baku's cousin. Now, Queen is kind of interesting because she was born Se Athauna Asir Davin. And so Queen has a comic book origin similar to that of the MCU Eric Killmonger. And so she was originally born in Wakanda, but then raised in Chicago, in America.
Oh.
And her origin was completely fabricated. They were like, oh, this is your grandmother from Wakanda. Your grandmother, you're just going to stay with her. It was not, they weren't related at all. She was just a Wakandan spy of some sort. The grandma was. Oh. And so, yeah, it's really interesting. Queen comes into her, she comes into her roots and she realizes, oh, I'm from Wakanda. I'm of the Wakandan people. Oh, I should be royalty. And so, yeah, she kind of weaves in and out. She's kind of like an anti-hero, probably more villain. But again, there's no MCU counterpart. Whether or not they're even going to expand on her, I don't know. They've already played that card, right? Like, Killmonger got that head to toe, and it was fantastic. But yeah, we've yet to see her in the MCU if they even decide to bring her in. But yeah, like, M'Baku himself has mentioned children in the film, but it was kind of a joke because he was like, do not speak, I'll feed you to my children.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so it's like, you almost don't know if he actually has children, but probably, maybe.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's still like, the secondary character of like the movie. Yeah. But yes, he is important.
He's very, So it'll be interesting to see if they introduce more family aside the tribesmen in the white gorilla tribe, which for the record they do in the comics they call them cults. They're really heavy on cults.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's something from the 60s going into the 70s, but they called them the Black Panther cult, the White Gorilla cult. These have all been updated to tribe for obvious reasons, perhaps. But so, you know, while M'Baku himself has friends and affiliations, very few, he has been in a few notable teams. And so, like I mentioned, the Villains for Hire, he was also, his like confidants, if you will, include Malice, aka Nakia, because Nakia isn't necessarily a great character or a good character in the comics as well. She's got a pretty shady background. A character named Baron Macabre, no relation to Baron Zemo. Masters of Evil, the Lethal Legion, and again, my favorite Z-list villain, Stiltman, as well as his female counterpart,
No.
Lady Stiltman.
There's a lady?
And she likes to be called Lady Stiltman. Like, I think it was M'Baku.
Is that counterintuitive?
It's so bizarre. I was like, this is it's in a 90s character, right? Like
Yes.
Again, it's like one of those tropes where they're like, let's make a lady one. And so they made a Lady Stiltman. And I think it's M'Baku. He says he called her lady, like he called her like Stilt Woman. And he was like, wait, lady, are you Stilt Woman? And then she's like, no, I'm Stiltman. And he's like, Lady Stiltman? And they just run with it. Her name is Lady Stiltman. And she has the same powers. Just a lady.
Just on stilts.
Stilts. Yeah.
This stilt, man. All this hype you're bringing upon this hero, they gotta make it happen.
Did I tell you, for the record, I think it was this last summer at Comic-Con, they revealed one of those Marvel, you know, the Marvel Legends, right?
Yeah.
The toys.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have a Build-A-Figure.
Uh-huh. Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
One of the new ones is Stiltman.
I hope what they do with Stillman in the MCU is what they did with Brad Pitt in Deadpool 2.
Oh, my God. Where it's just like a sick cameo.
It's like the most famous person you can think of that.
Can you imagine if that's Tom Cruise's one role in the MCU? Is a 2-second cameo?
Or if it's just like Leo DiCaprio on freaking stilts.
Oh
Because
my
know, like as much as I love Leo as an actor,
Yeah.
I don't see him in the MCU ever at all.
No, same.
For any role. Whatever role you think fits him perfectly.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to see him in the MCU. So put that guy on stilts. let him come in and go out a legend.
And speaking of legends, I need to show you this figure because like to get the base parts for him, you have to buy like 8 figures, at least 8. If you really want to go like the long haul and get like a traditional Stiltman, you got to buy like 12. I would never do it, but it is hilarious.
Oh yeah, let an A-list actor
and he comes with a briefcase.
Just let an A-list actor just come in and give a 5-second cameo, and then die after.
I
something.
love it. Yes,
Yeah.
please. And so M'Baku fraternizes with both Stiltman and Lady Stiltman. And I just put on my notes L because it's my favorite thing to talk about. And then aside the teams and his family, he just has that friend Ngamo, who's the dwarfsman, his hype boy. No MCU counterpart for that guy. Though it'd be very interesting to see. But, you know, as I previously mentioned, I wanted to take this opportunity to discuss and further expand on the Wakandan tribes themselves, which we've barely been introduced to in the films. So, but first, pop quiz.
Oh, no.
Very quick. Without scrolling down, can you name all 6
Of the tribes. Oh, God. It's always the most subtle facts that I don't pay attention to. Gosh.
So there are 6.
I don't even know because I was just so engulfed in the story that I don't.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I've
Jabari.
Okay, Jabari. The Jabari are one.
I can't even know that.
You can do this.
And I'm not gonna.
I've just mentioned like half of them, if not more.
No, the whiskey was, you know.
The whiskey. I mean, you down that last portion pretty quick, bro.
Wakandan
Try
tribes.
it. Just try it. See. We'll give you 10 seconds. And
Jabari. Oh no.
No?
Blanking
You're
hard.
blanking?
Hard. Super hard.
Ah, okay. You're going to kick yourself.
Super
but
hard.
I'm going to go in the order in which
Wait,
they...
is it
Go ahead.
Dora Milaje?
No.
No, they're
But
just, that's the King's Guard. Duh.
They're King's Guards, yeah. But I did want to note, speaking of them, I do not have them on here because they completely deserve their own episode.
I was going to say that's going to...
100%.
We're going to probably...
We're going to talk about them.
Yeah.
But I will introduce these tribes in the order in which they were introduced in the film. So, if you will, think about the scene where Prince T'Challa is on the mountain ridge edge river thing.
Yeah.
And the priest is, calling upon all the tribes to see if anybody is willing to take the challenge. And so the first introduces the merchant tribe.
Okay.
And so this is the interesting thing. They don't have, like the Jabari, right?
Yeah.
They don't have, or at least have not revealed the names of these tribes aside what they do. Right? It's
yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
They're the Jabari tribe, the royal family,
Royal, okay.
and then the other four are all known for what they do.
Okay.
So I thought that was very interesting. I'm not sure what's going on, but so the first tribe is the merchant tribe. The representing member of that tribe is the tribe elder, portrayed by Dorothy Steele. Does not have an actual name in the first film. Hopefully she does in the second. And the merchant tribe, I believe they're the ones wearing the red. They're inspired by the Tuareg people of the Saharan and Sahelian regions of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
So again, all these tribes are actually inspired or have derivatives from existing tribes of Africa. So that's also something that makes this film and also its characters so powerful, that it's really like pulling in the history of real life, right? It's not all fiction, so to speak. And then the second tribe introduced is the Border tribe, and its representing member is Wakabi, portrayed by Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah.
And they are inspired by the Lesotho people. And so it's more or less the clothing and the hut architecture. And so the Border tribe themselves are the ones that are typically in blue. They have wood accents on their outfits, I believe. And then like Daniel Wakabi himself has like the darts in his face.
Yes.
That are very similar to Killmonger's body trophy darts. And then they also raise and breed the white rhinoceroses.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The
Those
rhinos.
things.
Oh, they're so beautiful. Love them. And then, so by proxy, Okoye is also part of the Border tribe, but she has been pulled in and inducted into the Dora Milaje. Mm-hmm. So then there's the River tribe. They're the third introduced. Representing member is Nakia, portrayed by Lupita Nyong'o. And the River tribe, they wear the green. Again, like we were introduced to the lot of them just before the coronation. And again, that's the scene that I was thinking of. I was, before we started recording, I mentioned like, this is an obvious tie-in to Namor and the people of Atlantean, right? Like, because the River tribe, like they reside on water, all those things. Like even the way that the Dora Milaje, when they stomp their spears on the boat, it creates the echo, like the ripple beneath the water to activate the technology, right? So it's like, duh, all these elements are here. Like, of course.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Like, imagine, like, how does that all play into Namor and his people? But yes, the River people themselves, they have influences from the Suri and Mercy tribes of Ethiopia. And then there's the mining tribe, the fourth introduced. The representing member is a tribe elder as well, portrayed by Connie Chiume. Their influences are from the Himba and Maasai people of East Africa. And then there's the Golden tribe, which is the royal family. So they never call them the Golden family, the Golden tribe. Yeah. Or the Black Panther cult, like none of that. It's just the royal family. And known as the Golden or Panther tribe, formed by relatives and heirs of Bashenga, who was the first to possess the power of Bast. So it's the very first Wakandan king who ate the herb and all that good stuff. And so they're all descendants. And so I believe they talked about him in the first movie, and he might be in the second movie. I don't know, something like that. I don't know. I think I saw a spoiler. But Bashenga is, and they also use his name in other parts in the film, and I can't remember where at the moment, but they pay tribute to him very well. And then, of course, the Jabari, who we're talking about now. And this is the quote that he said. So I wrote down the quote, and I think it's during the coronation challenge. And he looks to Shuri, and M'Baku says, "Technological advancements handled by tradition, handled by a child." So he directly is like, I am not about what your people are doing. You have to revert and go back to the old ways. And in the films, they worship the gorilla god Hanuman. And they're the only tribe that do not worship Bast. So again, we don't know any of the reason why. Yeah. They've not explained it yet. Who knows? Just different strokes for different folks. Yeah. They just leaving it at that. Yeah. And so while we're on the Jabari, I wanted to talk about the comic book counterpart, of course. Again, known as the White Gorilla Cult, the Jabari worship Gek, or Gula, the ape god in the comics. I think we talked about Gek very, very little in the Black Panther episode itself. Yeah. But the cult is a religion banished from Wakandan society, but they still practice among their lone tribe. Ultimately cornering their people into ostracized lifestyles. So their choices have essentially removed them from society, quote unquote. And in the comics, it's so severe that some are even put to death for not worshiping Bast and instead worshiping Gek, which is kind of severe. But that's how they wrote it. It's much more severe. They were much more at odds than they are in the film. And then meanwhile, historically, Gek is a Baal deity. So the Baal people of Africa are people who live in what is now present-day Ghana and the Ivory Coast of West Africa. And so Gek is a Baal deity, and it's very similar to that of Hanuman, who is derivative of Indian religion. So they're pulling in different territories now and different deities, where Hanuman is a Hindu god depicted as a humanoid monkey or an ape. And so I wanted to touch on this because I don't know if you've ever heard of this, Jeff. I kind of remember rumblings about it back in the day, but in the coronation challenge, M'Baku, when he's right before they start fighting, he says to T'Challa, he says, "Glory to Hanuman." And he turns around and then he puts on the mask and they start fighting, right? And so in India, the Central Board of Film bleeped out this line from the movie.
Which place?
India.
Oh, wow.
They bleeped it out.
Wow.
Because it's essentially, he's praising to the Hindu ape god.
Wow.
And they were like, no.
Oh my God.
And they took it out of the film. And so I went a little deeper into finding out I get it, India and their religion, the Hinduism is it's a different thing, right? Yeah. And so Hanuman is identified as the Jabari's gorilla deity, their equivalent of the panther goddess Bast, but historically is featured prominently throughout the Sanskrit epic Ramayana, one of two important epics in Hinduism. So Hanuman comes from this tale that is so very important in Hinduism. And so it's kind of strange that, I don't know, not strange, but even though it's not necessarily the same god, Indian audiences were not allowed to watch or hear him say that. Yeah. Because it's almost like they're not that they're forcing it upon them, but it's promoting in a way. Yeah, exactly. And so that was not okay. So that was unexpected. I didn't think I would find anything that was remotely divisive of this film, but apparently they did something.
That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So, and of course, the interesting thing about it all is that, again, Ramayana is a Sanskrit epic. And so for those of you who don't know, an epic poem is a lengthy narrative poem, typically about extraordinary deeds of extraordinary characters who, in dealings with gods or other superhuman forces, gave shape to their mortal universe for their descendants. So,
Whoa.
yeah, so it's like all these little nuances that they are indeed pulling from other bits of religion and then pulling them into the Wakandan tribe beliefs and all that stuff. So it's not an exact derivative, but it does make sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. So that alone, the definition of an epic reminds me very much of not only, like, of course, the superhero lore, but Wakandan people in particular. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it very much sounds like something like that the tribe wants to pass down this gift from Bast through their lineage, and they're more or less normal human beings that then are tested with superhuman prowess in some way. It's pretty cool. It's pretty philosophical stuff. I'm all for it. Funny thing is, M'Baku, no love interest. None.
Wow.
Not even one. No interest whatsoever.
In the deepest, darkest of like research you did.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing. He's always he went after, I believe he went after, like the Green Goblin effect, right? He always went after Peter Parker's girlfriends, right?
Yeah.
But he himself never had a love interest except for Harry Osborn's mother, right? So the same is almost with M'Baku. Like he may not have any romantic links, but he would almost always go after T'Challa's women. So he went after one in particular who was, I believe, Monica.
Okay.
And yeah.
What a dog.
Yeah, that was before, I think, Nakia threw her out of a plane.
Oh. Yes, I remember that. Yes. Yes, I remember that.
I can't have him. You can't have him either. Yeah. That's pretty much it. So no love interest for this character. And again, we don't see that in the film. Whether or not he has children, whether or not there is a wife involved, we have not yet seen. Hopefully we get some answers in Wakanda Forever. But as far as other versions and in other media is concerned, I did want to note that M'Baku will be at Avengers Campus celebrating the sequel beginning November 11th through January 8th, 2023. And not only can you like meet M'Baku and take pictures with M'Baku and all that stuff, but they're going to have a whole bunch of Wakanda Forever like food and drinks and beverages inspired by the film. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go. I can't wait. And then they like announced Happy Meals. Did you see that?
I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
No.
The Wakanda Forever Happy Meals are coming.
What is the marketing budget for these for the big Marvel movies?
And they have
holy crap.
A Lexus, a Wakanda Forever Lexus.
That's a partnership, yeah.
It's a partnership,
Because that was the first partnership from the first movie still too.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, they
Holy
had
smokes.
Lexus cars.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. We're getting all the good stuff. It's coming. And so that leaves us with the future of the character in the MCU. So, I mean, obviously we'll know in a few short days when the movie drops for the general public what actually happens to this character. But we did get a listener comment from Instagram, Vibranium Queen. His growth in Black Panther was amazing, and T'Challa had a big hand in that. I love that so much, which, hell yeah, same. Hard same.
Yeah, it's crazy because you only see him in the beginning of the film.
Yep.
And then the end of the film, and that's it. But he had such a lasting impact, and then even in Infinity War too.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
So, I mean, good on the writing, and then also good on Winston Duke for
I know.
creating a character that's just like, oh yeah,
such a king. I love
and
it.
I'm gonna quote this here because I said this in a mini Marvel or something. When they're promoting Infinity War, they were doing the BuzzFeed reading dirty tweets about themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And then the one that
tweets.
Winston Duke read was, M'Baku can blow my back out. And I was like, and he was doing it with Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan.
Oh, gosh.
And they were like, whoa.
We got to drop that in. Oh my God, that's so funny.
I'll drop that in for sure.
Amazing.
M'Baku could blow my back out if he wanted to.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what more of M'Baku we're going to get.
I'm
Hopefully more.
So excited for... I don't know if I'm actually emotionally prepared for Wakanda
No,
Forever.
I 100% am not.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Like I said, just watching one scene made me cry. I was like, dude, and that's exactly why I didn't put on the whole movie, right? Because I knew I would start crying from start to finish.
Yeah.
And so the fact that I started crying during a scene that isn't even that emotional, I was like, dude, I'm going to be so wrecked when the movie comes out. I'm going to be a sobbing mess.
I know. If I watch it with Sam and she sees me just tearing up, she's going to be like, are you crying right now? I'll be like, you have no idea.
You just say what Joel says. You have no idea what loss is.
You have no idea. Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. And again, I think we've said this before. It's just that the fact that they're also integrating the real life loss into the film. Like, it's not
I know.
just...
That's so tough, man.
It's so
I know Angela
rough.
Bassett's acting her butt off in this film. I don't even gotta
wait.
watch it.
Yeah.
I know she is.
She's incredible.
She better get nominated for an Oscar for her performance in this, because I can tell she's like going through it in this movie.
She, for sure. Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be very emotional. So if you don't have your tickets, please get your tickets now. Go see the movie when it comes out. I'm going to do my back-to-back. I'm going to see it on Thursday. I'm going to see it again on Friday. So I'm going to be a mess.
Yeah.
A big old mess.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we'll see what happens with M'Baku. And then, of course, Almost Was. This was kind of interesting. Because
I'm reading this now. This is hilarious, Di.
What?
Just the third name, the second name.
Yes.
How you pronounce it. I'm gonna let I'm gonna let you handle that one.
Well, the crazy thing is I can usually pronounce that name without even having the phonetic.
Oh.
I just put it there just in case I forgot.
Yeah.
Because it's so much more
yeah.
complex. But fan casts did include Sterling K. Brown, who ended up playing Eric Killmonger's father.
Was it father?
Yeah, in the first film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So he was, I can't remember, what was his, do you remember his name?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, Sterling Brown. Who played Prince Jobu. In the first film. So he was fan casted as M'Baku when the film started coming together. And then, of course, Adewale Akinyoye Abagaje. See? Abagaye.
That was good.
I did that without looking at the phonetic. So I put the phonetic for him.
That was good.
Because I do love Adewale. But Adewale, of course, known for his roles in Thor Dark World and Suicide Squad. As well as Michael Shaw, who ended up playing Corvus Glaive in Infinity War and Endgame. Yeah, he would have been interesting as Bucky Barnes goes crazy in the background. Excuse us. And Mustafa Shakir, who, oh my gosh, if you didn't watch Cowboy Bebop, like 99% of humanity, I did. And Mustafa was so good in Cowboy Bebop. He played the character Jet Black. Who is truly one of the anime icons of the millennium, the turn of the century. And he was so fantastic at that role. I think he carried the show more than anybody else did. And he would have been interesting to see, not as M'Baku, but in these films in general.
Sure.
And then, of course, Yahya Abdul Mateen II, Black Manta in Aquaman, was reported only shortlisted before ultimately losing the role to Winston Duke.
Wow.
So the fact that he is now
Wonder
Man is interesting.
Maybe
they were like,
maybe there's something else.
They're like, okay, we're going to keep him in our back pocket.
Yeah.
That's kind of
He's
cool.
a phenomenal actor.
Yeah. And so for suggested reading, again, like this character has been in and out of the books. He is a sideline. He is like maybe a panel or two in many, 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 many comics. So if you want to see more of M'Baku, I would suggest checking out Villains for Hire. It's a slapsticky, more modern villain book, as I mentioned, with Stiltman et al. But it does go without saying, reading various volumes of Black Panther are highly recommended. And I'll point out Black Panther Long Live the King in particular, as well as the more modern runs released in the last decade or so, like 2009. The ones with Shuri as Black Panther are good ones to read with M'Baku in it. But that is the end of the show.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah.
I kept like going back to what else is there about him? I was like, oh wow, he didn't have that much screen time like
He
in
did.
Black Panther.
That's it. And Endgame and
Limited
Infinity
screen
War.
time
Yeah.
in Infinity War and in Endgame.
Yeah. Just
And-
enough to show that he was there.
Yeah.
And he was present. And even then, you're so happy to see him.
Yeah, but he made
You're like,
such
"He's
like an
there."
impact. I still remember like on that Endgame fight sequence where
Yeah.
all the heroes are there. Like
Yeah.
you hear him yelling.
Yeah.
And running.
Yeah.
Keeping up with
Yeah.
like all of them.
Well, and even on, and we do this every time, we're about to descend and then we're like, let's talk 10 more minutes about stuff in the movies. But I love that part where he's on that ridge, the hill in the sphere with Buck and with Cap and Natasha.
Yes.
And he starts doing the chant and everyone's doing the
Yeah.
chant. Oh, I heard that was improv.
Sounds. Oh yes, I heard that too. I heard that was improv as well.
Yeah. Which is incredible because everybody does it now.
Yeah.
Everybody. Like, what was I at? I think I was at a screening for Black Panther. Oh, no. I was at the Black Panther live in concert thing, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You were, yeah.
And so that was the first time they ever had a Marvel movie with a live orchestra, right?
Yes.
And so there was the first fanfare.
good.
It was so incredible.
Wait, was Ludwig there?
Yes, he was there. Michael B. Jordan was there.
That's right.
Yeah, a few of them were there, and it was incredible because, like, I think it's when the Jabari come on screen and they started doing their chants. Everybody
did it? Wow.
Everybody. And I was like, dude, that energy was unreal. All just doing the hoo-ha, rah-ha, say-ha.
Wafa. Yeah. Wafa.
Yeah. What do you know what he's saying?
Something.
I don't know.
Something about. I think Joe and Anthony Russo said something
Mm-hmm.
about like what does it mean, and then same thing with Ryan Coogler. I think had brought it up too.
Mm-hmm.
I forget. I think something like I don't know if it's in the realm of like fight, charge, or something in Wakanda. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, okay. So, T'Challa says Yambe, which in Kosa
Yeah.
means hold fast.
Uh-huh.
Yambe. And
Ibambe.
then Ibambe.
Ibambe,
Yeah.
yeah.
So hold fast. Powerful stuff. Super duper powerful stuff. And again, it's so iconic to the character and you just feel the energy emanating off of him. But yeah. Love the character. Can't wait for more.
Yeah.
Hope
Can't
there's
wait to
more.
see him again. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully one day with Stiltman.
And Lady Stillman.
And Lady Stiltman. So thanks for listening, guys. Next episode. We have not carved out our next episode yet.
Oh, I know.
Though
I was thinking about this today too.
We're getting close to another mini Marvel.
Okay.
Not quite yet, but
close.
Yeah, very close. So if there's a character you'd like to hear, actually, surprise, friend! Next episode is a mini Marvel.
Oh, it is.
Yes. So
Perfect. Because we're going to be discussing
yes,
Wakanda Forever
Wakanda Forever
in full
and whatever's-
spoiler fashion.
Yep.
Sorry.
Hold on to your butts. But yeah, that'll be 2.5 weeks after, maybe 4 weeks after the film has come out. So
Oh, that's right.
it's free game.
All
It's
right.
going to be a month.
Cool.
But we will also we'll be on the tail end of the Guardians Christmas special.
Yes.
So I totally slurred that, but I'm going to keep it in. But our next character study perhaps can be a Guardian.
It could be. I know we've been fiending for one.
Yeah.
We've only done
Star-Lord
That's
and
right.
we've only done Groot.
and Groot.
And
Yes.
Groot, yeah. So, I mean, maybe it's time for another Guardian or a Kevin Bacon. I don't know.
Oh, we can totally just break down Kevin Bacon.
the six degrees of Kevin Bacon and the MCU. But yeah, so thanks for listening, guys.
Woo!
We are Groot. Salute to Melanie, Katie, Laura, Claire, Andrea, Nats, Robin, Joe, Liz, Ariel, the Arachnerd, Ed, Ashley, Tyler, Jenny, and Andrew. Follow us on social, STRKCNTRST. And if you like what you hear, review, rate, and subscribe.
Woo!
It helps tons.
Yes.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you guys, and we will see you in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Are you done? Are you done?
Could you give me and Lord Mbako a moment?